Hey guys, it's me again, the one with the giant cyst. And as you can see, here we are like a month into this BS since I was diagnosed. And when I started this, I was at about 48 inches when I first got diagnosed. And now you can see I'm up to like 51 and a half. That's how fast this thing is growing. And the surgeon has told me that it just gets faster and faster as you get towards the end, whatever that means. I guess that means right before you explode all over aisle 5. So obviously I can't bend over. And I actually had to pack a whole bunch of boxes of comics to ship to a trade show in Toronto yesterday for them to get there on time. I thought I was going to have the surgery weeks ago, but, this whole process just keeps dragging out and out and out. I had difficulty digesting food, obviously. I can only eat about this much at a time before it starts to, come back up, basically. So I, freaked out one night and just said, something's wrong with me. I don't know what it is. We need to go to the emergency room. I had been to see several doctors over the last 2 years. Over the last 2 years, I started to experience swelling kind of down here and then up in here. 4 different doctors told me I was just fat and I needed to work out. So I tried working out. Let me tell you, you don't lose cyst weight, ovarian cyst weight, by going to the gym. It doesn't work. Hello. But apparently that was my fault. I wasn't watching those carbs, so yeah, on the medical system. But 2 of the doctors I saw had been seeing me over at least the last 5 years, and one of them I've been going to for 10 to 15 years. So one would think she would notice a change, and she did notice a change, but like all the other doctors, she thought I was just putting on fat in this area because I've always been a little on the chubby side, so obviously I'm just, Krispy Kreming it up, like gazongas. Sorry, I can't freaking breathe because I have no lungs and I have asthma. So between the asthma and my lungs being compressed, this really sucks, and it's why I haven't really done an update. So I went to the emergency room. Of course, the ER doc wasn't really very experienced with these. After a CT scan, which took hours, he was like, oh my God, you're more cyst than human, basically. And, generally these big cysts are benign. You don't have anything to worry about. This isn't a cancer scarf, by the way. It's just a scarf my son made me for Mother's Day that I really love because it's really pretty. Despite the fact everything appears to just be fluid filled, which is totally benign, they still want you to go through an oncologist so they can test the tissue and all that stuff just to make sure you don't have anything weird going on a molecular level. So I, of course, tried to call the oncologist they recommended. Oh, sorry, she's not in your network. You need to try somebody else. You have to get someone referred to you by your primary care physician, blah, blah, blah. So I go back to the primary care physician. Another one of the people who told me I was just fat. And she's like, oh my God, you have a cyst. So we're going to send you to doctor number 1. So they sent me this doctor. Well, it turns out she was not, and of course it took a week to get an appointment, a week to get the authorization. I go over to see surgeon number 1. She is a gynecological surgeon, but she's not an oncologist as well. So the second I come waddling in there like this, after filling out a million frickin' forms, she tells me, oh, I can't see you. I'm not an oncologist. Why is everybody wasting my time? So I had to go back to my primary care. I walked right in there and basically just started bawling and peeing and everything because I have no bladder anymore. Ow, sorry. Yeah, this thing hurts. Try digesting food with no lower intestines because they are squished flat at this point. So every time I eat something, it gets stuck in various places, and then it hurts, and then it is somehow able to get through to the next stage, but everything in here is kind of a nightmare. So, I catch my breath. So I talked to my primary care, and I'm like, okay, I don't know why you sent me to that person, but she can't see me. Oh, we got to send you to somebody else. So they send me, they give me a referral to some guy in LA. And I'm like, LA is like, I live in South Orange County, like way South Orange County. To get all the way up to LA takes about 2 hours, 3 hours with traffic. Like this. You think it's comfortable bouncing around on the freeway like this? It's not. It's really not comfortable. So I called my insurance company, Aetna, who's the parent company, and I said, can I see somebody else? Because this is kind of ridiculous. I don't know why they're telling me I can only go see this guy in LA. And they're like, sure, you can pick anybody, blah, blah, blah. They made it sound like it was super easy. And there was a whole bunch of gynecological oncologists right here in South Orange County. So I was like, great, I'll just go to one of them. Oh, and so I did a little research, and I immediately picked out, you know, one of a couple doctors that I really liked. And so I was told, yeah, I could go see this one gal at UCI, no problem. They just had to put through an authorization request, blah, blah, blah. And so they fired that off. This course took about 2 hours on the phone. And then my Aetna case person comes back on and says, okay, I just got off the phone with your HMO, and they say it's going to take up to 7 to 10 working days to process this request. I said, are you freaking kidding me? I'm big as a barn about to explode. So I don't have 7 to 10 working days. What the hell? Well, if you want to transfer to another doctor, then you have to blah, 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 blah. So I go back to my primary care. Because basically Aetna says, ask your primary care to help facilitate this. If you get your primary care to approve it and have them follow the authorization, then it can be marked as urgent. It can go through faster. So we go back to the primary care. We go through all this malarkey, right? Yeah. They're going to file it for me. They're going to mark it urgent, right? So I wait. And I waiting for a call. I call back the HMO because now I have the number to the HMO as well. Where are we with this authorization? Oh, it's nowhere. It's going to take 7 to 10 days. I said, no. It's urgent. It's supposed to take 1 to 4 working days. Well, no, it hasn't been marked urgent, so therefore it's going to be 7 to 10 working days. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? How do I get this through urgently? Well, you have to go back to your primary care. Oh my God. So we go back to the primary care. This time I'm besides myself. I think the cyst has moved into my brain. So I can't even think at this point. I'm totally upset. I sent my husband over there. I'm like, nobody listens to the cyst woman. Can you please go over there and demand that they do something for me? He goes over there. Oh, whoops, they accidentally marked the authorization routine instead of urgent. So the whole thing has to start from the beginning. It has to go back to my primary care, who has to now put this thing through as urgent, yada, yada, yada. For some reason, because my HMO is so jacked up, the only place I'm allowed to go see her is basically out in Riverside. But I look it up and I'm like, well, at least all of her hospital privileges are in Orange County, primarily in South Orange County. So, okay, so if we have to go all the way out to Riverside for one frickin' visit, fine. So we try to put this request through, right? It won't go through because apparently that office address, this is after another course, 2 to 4 business days, by the way, they fire back and say, no, they can't file or approve this because the business address in Riverside doesn't exist, basically. It doesn't exist anymore. Even though it's in their system, it doesn't exist. So now I'm back to square one again. And at this point, 3 weeks have gone by since my initial CT scan and diagnosis. So now we go back to the doctor. Finally, my primary care doctor agrees to actually speak to me in person, which she hadn't up until this point. I was just dealing with her assistants and stuff. And she's like, she gets in our faces, basically, or as close as you can get to me, like this, and basically says, look, you have cancer, and you need to go to the doctor that your insurance company approved 2 weeks ago. I don't know why you're screwing around. And I'm like, He's in LA. And hello, cancer? Since when do I have cancer for certain? And she basically backpedaled, and she's like, well, I read the report, and it says blah, 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 carcinoma. I'm like, yeah, I read the report, and it basically said benign and or possibly cancerous. And she's like, yeah, okay, well, we don't know if you have cancer, but you need to go to an oncologist. I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to get to an oncologist. You sent me to a regular gynecologist. I don't know why you did that. Oh, I didn't do that. My office people screwed up, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's all this finger pointing going in 100 different directions. Meanwhile, I'm growing like an inch a week. Thank you. You know, can we frickin' get this correct? And I'm calling everybody every day. I mean, I am not just sitting back. I am calling primary care. I'm calling the HMO. I am calling Aetna. I am calling everybody, trying to get something to frickin' move forward. Something, anything. For God's sakes, let's get this thing done. Finally, I had to go back to the guy in LA. Like, guy in LA is my only choice. Well, it takes a week to get an appointment with him, of course. And, of course, it's a 2-hour drive up there. So, we drive 2 hours. We see him. I actually like the guy. He's pretty cool. And he took one look at me and was like, oh, my God, that's got to come out. And I'm like, go, now. Seriously, is that a letter opener? Go, I'm ready. I'll lay down right here, get this thing out of me. And he's like, okay, well, I got to check my schedule. We got to get an authorization to go through. And he's basically like, look, I'm going to try to get you in the next week to a week and a half. This was a week ago. So we're at 1 week right now. I'm still waiting for a schedule. I'm still not scheduled for surgery at this moment. I called them yesterday and said, am I going to get scheduled for surgery? Oh, we're going to have to call the doctor and then find out what's going on and blah, blah. He kind of made it sound that maybe next week is probably the soonest he can get me in when we did talk at that time, but I thought I would have heard something by now because it has been a week. This was last Thursday when we saw him, so I'm still waiting. Your move, surgeons. But meanwhile, hello, how much bigger does this mofo gotta get before something happens? Because once I'm deflated, I'm gonna have extra skin down to my toes. For reals. I'm gonna be like flap, 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 flap. Look out, kids, you're gonna get knocked in the head. I mean, really? 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 The surgeon, however, last week looked at this, and of course we asked the big C question. We're like, okay, her blood tests came back normal. No, there's no cancer markers, or at least not enough. They're not outside the normal realm. Cancer markers aren't indicating anything's going on. And basically, the bigger and more humongous and faster growing these things are, the more likely they're benign. So, yay for being huge. He said, basically, these super giant cysts come in one of two types. They're either super benign or they're iffy. If it's super benign, they just remove it. They remove the evil ovary, which I think is my right ovary, because it's more on, a little bit more on this side. They remove the right ovary, leave the left ovary, day is done. Unless, of course, the left ovary looks weird, but I don't know. I guess at this point it looks normal. This part with iffy, it just sort of means that once they remove the ovaries, and I don't think I have tubes because I had a hysterectomy 15 years ago. Once they remove the ovaries and the cyst, pretty much you're done. You don't have to have any ongoing like chemotherapy or anything like that. So it's basically a question of, am I going to wind up with one ovary or two? I don't know. I don't care anymore. I just want this thing out now, please, like for real. Where's my letter opener? I'm ready to go. Oh, here's a knife and fork. Huh? Is this where I cut? Where do I cut? Tell me where I'm gonna cut because I'm ready to go. Just saying, ready to go.